Everybody always wonders how that mortgage thing happened in 2008. Was it crashed the whole system? Well, I can tell you. I was 21 years old in 2001 and went to go buy a house. We were both making roughly about $9 an hour. That didn't equate to a lot of money, but we thought, hey, let's see what we can do. A lot of our friends are getting approved to buy homes. Let's see what's out there. Well, we go sit down with the bank, and they approve us for $279,000. We were like, we're not going to be able to afford that, but that gets us to the price range that we know we can afford. So we set our budget at about $100,000 because we knew at the rate of pay that we made, we would always be able to make that payment. Well, when we finally found the house after 6 months of looking and the real estate agent being in cahoots with the mortgage broker, showing us houses well out of that price range just because we're pre-approved, and we keep telling our real estate agent, hey, we can't afford that. $100,000 is going to be our max budget. And then we had to drop our real estate agent because she kept showing us houses that were out of our budget. And she just kept saying, I can't understand why you won't take out the max amount loan that you've been pre-approved for. Well, our math says we can't afford that, ma'am. So we finally found a house that was in our price range, $97,000. Now, this was a move-in ready home. Did it need some updates? Sure. But for us, it was going to be perfect. It was move-in ready. So we went ahead and made an offer on that house after we had to get a new real estate agent. So once the offer was accepted, we went back to our mortgage broker at the bank and asked, to sign all the paperwork, get everything done. And she berated us. She was like, you are the stupidest people ever. I've approved you for $279,000, and why you're not taking it out, I don't know. And we were like, well, we can't afford that. And she was like, no, I've got it set up where you've got this 5-year mortgage where it's really low payments, and then there's a balloon payment due at the end of it, and then at that point you'll be making more money and you'll just refinance. And we're like, no, we're assuming we're never going to make any more money. That sounds like you're setting yourself up for failure, and we're not going to do that. We're like, no, we just want a normal 30-year fixed rate mortgage. And she was like, nobody does those products. And I said, well, that's what we want to do. And we had to fight this mortgage broker in order to be able to take out our $97,000 loan because she pre-approved us for something that obviously we could not afford. And then 5 years later, when all of our friends started being like, why has my mortgage payment gone up from $400 a month to $3,000 a month, blah, blah, blah. And that's when all the foreclosures started happening. Guys, these banks were out there telling people they could afford houses they couldn't. And these people believed them because why wouldn't you? This is a bank. They wouldn't. Yeah. Oh, yes, they would. And they did. They would and they did. Don't ever listen to those people because you know what you can afford. And don't ever count your chickens before they hatch, because where did all those people who said, oh, yeah, in 5 years I'll be making more money and I can afford to refinance? How have those people lost their houses? That's how it happened, though, guys. So the banks didn't assume that you would be able to make the payment. They didn't care, because as soon as they gave you the mortgage that you were sold, they sold your mortgage to another financial institution, and it got packaged up in people's mutual funds. I don't know really the ins and outs of all the technical terms, but you can go watch The Big Short. It lays it out perfectly, and it's a very entertaining movie. You think it's fiction what you're watching, but it's legit how it went down. But all of these bad mortgages were sold to other companies. These folks that originally gave you the money got all of their commissions. They made their money. It never interrupted their pockets, but once it snowballed into foreclosures years later, I do remember the fury of every 3 months your loan was getting bought and sold, and you had no bearing over it whatsoever. Even though it was your loan, in the background, these financial institutions were fury buying and selling loans, and about every 3 months you would end up with a new mortgage. It was hilarious how you just had to write, like, you didn't know if you were sending your check to the right bank because they were getting bought and sold. But go watch the movie The Big Short. It explains it perfectly.